Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
It's not what we're expecting.
But Abe says he and the others here that night, and the majority of Arab Americans in Dearborn who voted for Trump, weren't necessarily cheering for him, but rather that his election could jolt the Gaza ceasefire talks, which seemed stuck under the Biden administration.
You're going to have peace in the Middle East.
And a brief appearance by Trump in Dearborn during the campaign certainly helped.
You can't make a promise to the people that, well, I don't want war and I'm going to stop the war, and then come in office and not do it and not deliver.
Is that so? Is that so? You like. Anyways, I don't want to talk too much, y'all. Let's keep watching.
He delivered.
How much credit Trump actually gets for the ceasefire is debatable. And since he won, he's made a series of seemingly anti-Muslim moves, including a desire to move Palestinians out of Gaza.
There's a lot of things that was promised to the Palestinian people when he was here, at least for the ceasefire. And it did happen. Now, what we've seen, he's been threatening a lot of the Palestinians to get out of Gaza. But little he knows, the Palestinian people are not going anywhere.
If he keep the war and kick all the Palestinian out, yeah.
Couple of things. There's a couple of corrections here. The ceasefire happened under the Biden administration. Okay, and second of all, whatchamacallit, we saw what he said afterwards. Let's keep watching, y'all. You're gonna see this, all this stuff. Let's watch
we
it.
regret to support Trump.
You regret.
We support peace.
You regret. He regrets to support Trump. Well, you don't say. You don't say. By the way, for the Palestinian people, their genocide is being basically put on full display in front of the world. They have essentially the support of the world. The whole world is essentially behind Palestine. Everybody. It is not the Palestinian people that are kiboshing this support. It's folks like this. You don't have to garner any more support for Palestine. The whole world is behind them. The only country in the world right now to take Israel to the international courts was South Africa, black country. None of the Arab Muslim countries did it. Got a warrant out for Netanyahu's arrest, and President Trump invited Netanyahu, the first visitor, foreign leader to go to America, was Netanyahu with that arrest warrant. So the person you voted for doesn't support you, never did. And we are living in a time when the lies are obvious. It's not like, back in the day where people were smooth with the lies. No, they are lying, and they lying on purpose. They don't care about the truth. They care about being on code. So anybody who's siding with the liar is siding with the liar while knowing they are siding with the liar. And that's exactly what you did. Because instead of putting your trust in Allah, you put your trust in a system that is devilish behind the devil. But I digress. May Allah aid the Palestinian people. Ameen.
The Trump victory in Dearborn was a big turnaround for Arab Americans who had routinely supported Democrats previously, but were infuriated by the Biden-Harris embrace of Israel. The leader of the Arab Americans for Trump group told us on election night he was thrilled. But even he is harshly critical of Trump's desire to move Palestinians out of Gaza, but telling the Times of Israel that he blames Trump's aides more for that than Trump himself. So it may not be a full-on regret yet in Dearborn, but buyer's remorse is setting in. Andy Roseton, TRT World, Dearborn.
That's one. Let's watch another one. Can you imagine the guy who said Muslim ban?
Mixed emotions, you might say, for some of the Arab Americans who voted for him. Now, some of those voters, President Trump's plan to take over Gaza is causing mixed emotions, you might say, for some of the Arab Americans who voted for him. Now, some of those voters are in Dearborn, Michigan, which has the largest Arab American population in the United States. In 2024, they flipped to President Trump, partly to protest President Biden's handling of the crisis in Gaza. CBS News national correspondent Nikki Batiste is in Dearborn, Michigan. I recall, Nikki, during prior to the election, that folks were calling President Joe Biden Genocide Joe. That was the terminology that was used about President Biden in the way that he was supporting the state of Israel in their attempts to root out terror on the Gaza Strip. And that's why many people felt that he wasn't the right man to be president of the United States, and so they voted for Trump. How are they reacting now to the fact that the president of the United States is suggesting that 2 million residents in Gaza be somehow removed from their land and the area turned into resorts?
Yeah, please tell us how they feel.
You made a really good point. It's a point a lot of people here, even those who voted for Trump, want to make. We didn't vote necessarily for Trump. We voted against Biden. The reaction here is mostly outrage, some mixed emotion. I spoke with the public.
Did you hear what they said? We didn't necessarily vote for Trump. We voted against Biden. Like, what kind of political moves are these, right? Which goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, that certain powers will capitulate. You couldn't pay me enough for me to support a devil like this. When somebody with such a thick and clear resume of being devilish and tell me that he's going to stop the war in Gaza, you must be tripping. But if you believe in a devilish system, then you would do silly moves like this and then complain when it doesn't work out, like you had like other options or whatnot, man. Like, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. How is it that the very same Zionists that you are fighting against, both you and the Zionists voted for this guy? Like, what? y'all gotta like I don't know, y'all are tripping. Anyway, let's keep watching, y'all.
Publisher of the Arab American newspaper here, Osama Simblani. I asked him, what is your reaction to these remarks from Trump? He didn't vote at all, but take a look at what he said.
Outraged. I could not believe that the president of the United States is uttering these words. Even Trump, I did not think that he would go this far, breaking international law and disregard to our own laws. We do not
breaking international law and disregarding our own laws. Who is this? Our own laws? These people talking crazy. Anyways, let's keep watching, y'all.
It's for grab. It's a Palestinian land. I was very shocked and surprised.
He made a point to tell.
Was anybody else in here shocked and surprised? You mean Donald Trump, he broke his promise? Donald Trump broke his promise? I'm shocked and surprised. And still, by the way, all of this was way before that Tom Fikini interview. And still, while all of these Arabs and Palestinians and everybody, Muslims, everybody, it's like, well, we regret Tom Fikini. Well, I'm happy.
Tell me, he didn't vote at all for any presidential candidate. He usually does because he just didn't prefer either. I spoke with a young woman, a college senior who voted in her first presidential election. She did vote for Trump. She said when she saw his remarks on Gaza, she gasped and was initially shocked, but ultimately not surprised. And I said, do you regret in any way voting for him? And she said, maybe, but if I hadn't and Kamala Harris had won, maybe we wouldn't still have a ceasefire. Gives you some sense of the feeling here, Vlad.
Really quickly before you go, what do they plan?
These are like really delusional, this is such a delusional way of thinking. You get me? It's so delusional. All you did really, you wouldn't have swayed the election either way. But what you did is you garnered a type of soft power, soft support for things that were clearly and obviously not just against your best interest, but against the interests of the wider society. Putting power in the hands of people who are not politicians, mind you. The current administration that you have right now, the Agenda 2025 people, these are not politicians. Let's be very clear. These folks are businessmen, billionaires, corporate oligarchs, Donald Trump himself is a real estate mogul, but you're not talking about politicians. They're not politicians. You handed the reins of power to very rich and wealthy men. And what happens when you give unrestricted, unfettered government power to billionaires? Well, you know what happens? And it happens every single time, okay? The coffers of that government gets raided, which is going to happen, mark my words. Your military and your policing apparatus will be privatized, and they will be essentially a security force for the same folks who don't deserve power that are in power to quell any type of resistance. This is what you got right now. You're welcome. You aided and bedded in that. All of these folks that have positions right now, all of them, none of them are politicians. They are loyalists. And when you are a loyalist, you do what you are told. You don't do what is already encoded and ingrained in law and the social order of that society. That's not what you do. So Donald Trump signed this executive order, as we saw in the beginning, essentially saying that only the president and the attorney general can interpret what the law is. He signed over 200 executive orders. And up until now, predictably, nobody has been able to enforce any type of protections for the government or its people.
Paper gold. You see, black folks are chumps. If America were to tell you to bring all the rocks in this country to her, and she'll give you $1 million for it, you'll do it. And the next day she'll tell you we're using rocks for currencies, chump.